Okay, so you're building out your branch, which is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
How big do you want to get?
I mean, I guess as much as it's hard to say, as much as you can handle. I mean, if you got producing LOs that know what they're doing and they just need guidance on the networking piece, then it probably doesn't take too much away from what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody doesn't know how to sell a mortgage or know how to do more, and you have to commit more time, or you have to teach them how to sell, and if they don't absorb it, and you have to keep teaching them, then ultimately, that's not going to work.
Welcome to Stop Whining About Real Estate. Join us as we chat, sip, banter, and wine with the best in the biz. Grab a glass of your favorite vino, sit back, relax, and let's wine together.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Stop Whining About Real Estate. It could be morning, could be night, could be afternoon. I guess it all depends on when you are one of the millions listening to our amazing show. I'm Emmanuel St. Germain, CEO of Choice Mortgage Group. I've got my co-host, Sarah Birnbaum. She's the Director of Business Development. And we've got a really special guest, a very longtime friend. He's one of our branch managers. He's an absolute stud. His nickname, which I don't know if I'm allowed to say or not, Absolutely. But he is the Unicorn Slayer. We've got Andy Novak here as our guest. Woo-hoo. Welcome to the show, Andy.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I'm excited about today.
I'm thrilled to have you.
And we did just find out this is your first podcast.
It is.
I don't know what it is about us and the guests that we choose, but I swear it's got to be way more than 50% of our guests are first timers, right?
Fact.
Was this your first time when we did this? Was this your first time?
Yes.
It was evident when we were practicing for the opener.
I know. And look at where I've come from. I mean, I've come so far.
You have come so far, and you're doing a really great job.
Thank you.
But let's make this show about Andy.
That sounds like a good plan.
All right. So, Andy, tell us a little bit about the journey. Let's start with how'd you get into mortgages?
Well, I actually started back in 92. It's been a journey. But in
you don't look that old.
Well, I've been trying to keep myself young, but it's tough. But yeah, in 92, 18 years old, was working for a mortgage company as a summer job. And then I ended up getting my license and did my first loan at 18.
How'd you hear? I gotta interrupt you because I gotta ask because nobody's
at 18. How did you even know?
No one's ever heard of a mortgage.
To go to a mortgage company.
Yes.
Okay. So when I was 16, they ran an internship program at my high school, and we got to pick what jobs we wanted to do. And I had a friend of the family, somebody that worked for my dad. Her brother owned a mortgage company. So I originally started working as accounts receivable for their appraisals, their title, and their mortgage company, because everything was in-house back then. Like you could have everything, a lot of collusion, everything together back in the 90s. I know you started back then. It was a different time.
Not quite the 90s, but yes, 05.
But yeah, so I was doing accounts receivable there and just kind of getting to know everybody. And I don't know, at 16 working in this place, it was really cool. And then, when I had the opportunity to do it again in the summer before I went to college, I was like, all right, let me get licensed and get a little extra scratch before I went to Florida State.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Your Knowles are what, 2-0 right now?
2-0. We got a bye week last week, so that's like being 3-0.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
We're exactly where they were last year, I think.
Yeah, they were not.
Yeah, we don't talk about last year.
Yeah. We're not going to talk about this.
What have you done for me lately? Exactly. Yeah. All right. So you got a little taste of the business early on. When did you get back into the industry?
So after college, I came right back down and started working for the same company. So that was in 97. And I worked there, ended up opening up my own mortgage company for a couple of years, and then kind of bounced around in different lending fields and found my home back at Choice back in 2018.
Okay, so that was all right. So you've been overall, in the industry a really long time. Tell me a little bit about what do you think has been your key to success? Why do clients come back over and over to use Andy Novak, and why is it that realtors want to call you? I know you, but tell the audience a little bit about what makes you special as a loan officer.
I think it's a couple things. One is I always get complimented on my calm demeanor. So like when you're able to sit in the room and something's going crazy and you can just kind of remain calm and just tell everybody, hey, I got this. We're going to get it there. We're going to figure out a solution, AKA the unicorn slayer. That people can feed off of that and they can grab that energy and then they're, all right, maybe he does got this covered. I can relax and let them do their thing. Another thing is I feel like I'm kind of a chameleon. I can sit at a table for $100,000 single wide, and I could sit at the table for a $6 million purchase on, Las Olas Isles. Everybody's going to get the same person, that calm, chill demeanor, and know that I'm sophisticated enough to deal with a high-end borrower, but also talk to a first-time home buyer that that manufactured home is just as important to them as it is for the person getting that big house on the water.
No, that's great. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so I have had the pleasure of having Andy on my team, right? We're a team at this point.
Yeah.
Because I go out and get business and referrals and relationships, and Andy is the one that I turn over a lot of my agents to. And every agent that I've turned over to Andy, they love working with him. He's had some outside of the box scenarios, some more difficult clients, some more in demand or high demand agents. He's had all kinds of stuff, and he handles all of them with so much care, but so much there's love that goes into it. And there is a calmness and this confidence and this reassuring factor of I've got it, I'm working on it, we're going to get there. And all of them come back to me and they're like, thank you so much for introducing me to Andy. It's been such a joy working with him. And to the fact where it's working, that they'll go to him with the buyer, they'll come to me to check in, but they kind of know that we work together cohesively as a team, but they feel really comfortable working with him after that. And so we've done our job as far as the handoff, but he's really kind of built rapport with people. And I think it's been really amazing to work with him. They also have commented on how, yes, you're really calm, but also stuff, but don't come off as kind of showy and in your face about stuff. And I think they really like that because you're never out to make them feel like a haha, I gotcha moment. You're just in it with them to work in it together as a team to get everybody to the finish line to get that close.
Just a slightly different approach than a manual.
You're relatable, not a doctor. I got it.
Got it.
No, and you know what else is, I really take pride in my reputation, my delivery. So I'm upset if I can't deliver the loan. So I got to figure out how to make it happen. Uh-huh. So, you're only as good as your reputation. And I need to make sure every deal goes perfect. In this industry, you're only as good as the last deal you do. So, unfortunately, we have to make sure we try and be as close to perfection as possible.
And I will say one thing, and I think that this could be less of a skill that more newer loan officers have. Andy's not afraid of the phone at all. He has no fear in picking up the phone, calling a buyer, seeing what's going on, where their application is, if they're continuing, if they're moving forward, what happened, they dropped off, follow up. So, I'll say to the agents that I pair with him, let Andy be that partner for you. Andy's not going to go do their job for them. But if they have a buyer that's interested and, there's that initial conversation or text or connection between that buyer and Andy has no problem picking up the phone and kind of seeing what happened. Where did the drop off happen, if there is, or are they waiting? Are they scared? Are they intimidated? Is there something that they feel like they're not getting or may not have, and he could walk them through that. But he's not afraid to kind of do those extra steps to continue the momentum with a transaction or with a buyer. And I think that goes a long way, because I think a lot of other people would just be like, well, if they're not calling the agent back, maybe it's lost, and then just kind of let it go. And I think the agent loves knowing that they have a true partnership with him, because he is, aggressive, but also kind in the way that he goes about it to make sure that, we continue with the buyer that they worked really hard to get in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I often will sit there and just be sitting at my desk, and I'll just be like, all right, let me scroll through my phone and see who I need to text. And I'll literally go back, weeks, and I'll be like, hey, this person never responded, and I'll just start sending text messages. So like the referral partner, if they listen to me and I say, hey,
we do have a CRM. If you use
I knew
it,
that
it
was
would help
coming.
you.
well,
I almost said to him, "Don't you dare."
I knew it was going to prompt that, but
You do an amazing job dialing overall and communicating. You don't do it in the manner that I would do it, but it doesn't matter as long as you get it done.
yeah.
Talk about, we call it Tuesday updates, Tuesday calls, whatever it is. Talk to the audience a little bit about how you do yours. And because communication is not anything that you are lacking in whatsoever. You do a great job with it. Everyone says. So tell me a little bit about how you do your Tuesday calls and what is a Tuesday call?
So basically, if we're in a transaction together, a Tuesday call is going to be us calling the buyer, calling the buyer's agent, and calling the listing agent, just giving them updates. The main point of the call is to give a little bit of an update, but it's also to ask for referrals and try and, get more business. I mean, my goal in every transaction is to convert the listing agent as a new referral partner. And then obviously show that my buyer that, hey, listen, we're doing our job. Who do you know that we can talk to do more business? And making sure that the initial referral partner, the buyer's agent, that their client's getting satisfied and they know that they can turn to us for that next call. The call is pretty systematic. Every Tuesday we're dialing, asking, giving updates, and then asking where we're at and how we get more referrals.
See, and I like the transparency in that, right? Whereas someone else may say, well, did you really just say on air that the purpose of the call is not really to do an update, but the purpose of the call is to ask for a referral? That's taboo. And to me, it's like, no, it's the exact opposite. We're going to work so dang hard to make sure that this transaction is absolutely amazing. We feel like we are deserving of your referral. And you can only do that. You can only ask for those referrals if you do an amazing job. So I don't think there's anything wrong for it. I think every single business person should do it. In fact, I think agents don't do it enough, right? Do you think agents ask for referrals anywhere near as much as you do?
No, I think that, people are always afraid to ask for that referral. And I think here at Choice, we've kind of hammered it into our heads to ask for more referrals.
Do it early too, not just after the closing. I think that's when agents want to typically ask. But for us, I think if you do it right away, you're planting those seeds, getting it done early.
Yeah, for sure.
I will say too, though, I found that in my way of asking for referrals, because I don't do the Tuesday calls because I'm not in the transaction, but I do my own version of the calls. And I'll say like, hey, I see you've got all this stuff going on, whether it's social media or whatever. Do you have anybody that we can help with? I would love to work with you on your next transaction or whatever I end up saying. And I'll find a lot of agents, they'll say, the second that I have one, I'm going to turn it over to you. I am working with somebody right now. They might be a cash buyer or whatever it is. And then they'll say, I do love that you follow up with me. I do love that you ask. I appreciate the hustle. I'm out there doing the same thing in their database and their world of trying to find clients. And I think if you kind of lead with that, sometimes I get, a little bit in my head about, I'm going to call this person again. And the last time we spoke, they said they were going to send a deal and I don't know what's going on with them, but I kind of see that they're doing business. And I'm like, but they're doing the same thing on their end. They should be doing the same thing on their end. And so I like it when they kind of appreciate it and they see what we're doing, but it's not a diss and it's not a negative thing. They're like, you're out there and you're trying to continue the momentum and get business. And I appreciate it because that's what I essentially do.
Part of it is not being entitled, though. I think it's how you ask. You shouldn't. So, like one of the things, and you said it in your way, meaning we're only as good as our last deal. That I think having the attitude, which I know that you embody, Andy, is that we are going to constantly work our butt offs for this relationship. And you are always fighting for that relationship. So if you're only as good as your last deal, that tells the person when you say that if I'm not going to be upset with you if you go talk to another loan officer if I drop the ball. And if you're always on trial, so to speak, if you take that attitude, then you are going to work extra hard and you're going to make sure that things go great. And then you have that, what I call the right to ask for a referral, right? Like, of course, if something goes wrong and the deal falls apart, and it's it's never our fault, but if it was our fault, like that's not when you go ask for a referral,
Right.
and think you're going to get one either,
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, I definitely you hate to feel like you're only as good as your last deal, but you know that it could happen at any point. I mean, if a deal goes sideways and the realtor doesn't feel happy or the referral partner doesn't feel like you did your job or you didn't communicate, they have that chance to just go away. And so if you're, like you said, if you're operating that way and knowing that every deal needs to go perfectly, then
have you ever fired a partner or been fired from a partner without saying any names, of course?
sure, of course. I don't know that I've fired like a bigger producer.
Okay.
So I've dealt with some challenging referral partners.
Mhm.
I've been fired before by a referral partner, but did get them back.
Yes.
And so I figured maybe they tested the waters out there, that maybe the grass wasn't as green as they thought it would be out there. And, there's a lot that we do that's higher level than, other mortgage companies, with our
Agreed.
updates, with our communication, how our team communicates.
Right.
So, you may think that you're going to get the same stuff wherever you go, but it's not the case.
Sometimes you have to have a bad experience somewhere else to realize how good you had it, and then you kind of come back. So I guess let's talk a little bit about what's going on for you now. Like, I have the privilege of seeing your branch starting to really grow. We've got a couple new loan officers, or I shouldn't say new, but new to your branch. Tell me a little bit about your recruiting style. What kind of loan officers are you looking for? What do you offer as a branch manager, and why would loan officer Sarah want to work for you?
Yeah, I mean, so I've got a couple new guys that are coming on. I think ideally, I like people that know what they're doing on structure, but maybe don't have the entire networking thing down. So, one of my great skills is going out, meeting people, figuring out whether or not they're a good referral partner. If they're not a good referral partner, my next step is to ask them, well, who do you know that might be a good referral partner? So, not everybody knows how to do it and do it strategically like that. And so I feel like I'd like to work with LOs that can do their job, but need help in growing their business. When I came to Choice, I followed some of the systems that you guys had in place, and it helped me grow my business. And I mean, you can't double your business every year, but it happened for a good couple of years. And that was just by getting out there, networking, meeting people, asking for the business.
Yeah, it works well. I hate networking. I'm glad you enjoy it and you're good at it. It's true.
I mean, ideally, you wish you didn't have to do it, but the business isn't going to come unless you go out and grab it.
Well, or you could be really creative and come up with and create this new role called a business development director.
We should get a bot for that.
Like, we've talked about this before, her and I have anyways, that it's part of being a chameleon. Like, I can do the chameleon thing too, like you. It just wears on me. It's so draining, though, for me to step into certain things that I don't want to do or that I'm not happy doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets tiring. Like, we had a recruiting trip last week where we had a company in town that was coming in, and the recruiter was staying at my house. The other group was at the hotel, and it's like, it was a quick trip. It was a 48-hour trip, but it is nonstop. Like, you are on from the moment you wake up and start making coffee to the moment that, to 48 hours later when they leave.
Yeah.
It is, like, it's tiring. And like, this is not tiring like we're out there digging a ditch. Like,
No, it's mentally draining.
It's just mentally draining. And that feeling sometimes is so if you can imagine that feeling, that's how I feel if I have to go network for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oof, I just do not enjoy doing that.
I mean, I feel like kind of that way at the end of every day. I mean, every day is like literally you're putting your heart and your soul and your energy to going out and getting business. So, I mean, if you're not drained at the end of the day, then you probably didn't really work hard.
I will say this, and I think that what you do behind your computer, that is your world. And I almost feel like it fuels you.
It's not draining for me. What
What-
happens in my office is easy for me to do. Like, it's long hours, but it's not draining because I'm within my comfort zone.
So I will say this, I enjoy networking more than you do. That's a fact. I will even go as far to say I'm better at it than you are because people tend to be
Shots fired.
I know.
But you're better at what you do in your office than I am. Fine. I feel extremely drained after every day. And if I have a week where I have multiple events, multiple things, and we have a lot of stuff going on in the office and people in and out of my office, because I have to be on for that too, to some certain degree, I am done. Like,
It's got to be the psychology. There's got to be some psychology behind it where it's about your natural personality. And like, so when you use the word chameleon, if it's not draining, then maybe it's not that much of a change for you in what your natural personality is in order to be there. Like, personally, I'm cool having 3 or 4 conversations with people, getting to know them,
and then
et
you're done.
cetera, and then I'm done. But saying hi, doing the 1 minute or 2 minute convos with 25 people who I already don't remember 24 of their names, like, that's draining for me.
So I will tell you, most of my life before I got into sales, like teens, 20s, none of my friends, who are still currently my friends, would have ever believed that I would have landed in a sales role because I was the quietest one of all of them. I would go to dinner with 15 girls and I knew 4 of them, and I would talk to the one next to me, and that was it. I just didn't have the interest in extending myself, making the small talk. Like, it just wasn't my thing. I found sales by force of dollars, essentially, and commission, and making more money than I could on a salary. I realized that if I could turn it on long enough for the hours that I was required to, I could be good enough at it to make money. And people tend to were open to receiving me, which
What you've done has been amazing.
works. But I will tell you that there is a very, very real side of my brain that does not function on this level. Like, it's an exercise that I practice daily to turn it on and go be Sarah.
You know, and I think the funny thing is I learned sales as a process. Literally, you know, I was in car sales and I had my buddy Anthony, and
So you saw it as the process and the system, and that's where you were like, my brain works
This is
way.
exactly how you sell, which is why I was so freaking good at it, because it was so simple. Just follow this process to the T. You don't have to deviate far from the process. You insert your personality along the way.
But you still follow the steps.
But you're still following the steps. And I think that for me naturally is why, you know, we are so systems and process oriented, because it's so natural for me, even in selling. When I take my loan applications, like even if I do an old school handwritten one, like, go look at every
they're all
yellow,
the same.
every yellow
You write
piece of
the
paper.
name, and then you write something on the side.
That's who the referral partner is. Who
and
is
then
a
you
referred
start,
by.
and then you start with your questions, and
They're
it's the
all
same
identical,
process.
like,
And then you
yes.
do your little side, and then this gets filled out, and then this.
Yeah, mine really isn't like that.
We know.
mine's a little different. And you can't really read most of the stuff that I write.
Thank God your loan partner can.
Yes. Listen, Elizabeth's the best.
She's your godson.
Yes.
That was so funny. The recruit we had in last week, his chicken scratch, I couldn't read whatsoever. I'm like, and he kept going back over. Like, I'm like, what is this guy, an artist? Like, like he's redrawing the lines over and over. I'm like, how does anyone read this? But it was really funny.
Okay, so you're building out your branch, which is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
How big do you want to get?
I mean, I guess as much as it's hard to say, as much as you can handle. I mean, if you got producing LOs that know what they're doing and they just need guidance on the networking piece, then it probably doesn't take too much away from what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody doesn't know how to sell a mortgage or know how to do more, and you have to commit more time, or you have to teach them how to sell, and if they don't absorb it and you have to keep teaching them, then, you know, ultimately that's not going to work. So
I think that's probably the biggest piece is finding somebody, because teaching somebody is fine, but if you're teaching the same thing over and over again, you're like, what are we doing here? Because you're not listening to me, or this is not sticking. Telling somebody to do something, or explaining it to them, and then seeing the progression, you're like, all right, this is cool, this is working. You're eventually going to get to here, and then you can kind of fly in your own.
If you're a salesman, then you're the right person to sit with me. If you're not a salesman, then I don't think it's going to be a fit.
What do you think loan officers right out there right now are craving? What do you think they need?
Other than business.
I mean, right now, listen, Fed just announced an hour ago, interest rates just dropped. We just hit yesterday, rates hit a 3-year low. So like there's business there. Like there's plenty of business, especially with refinances.
Well, I think the thing that most people need to focus on is diversifying who they're going after.
Yeah.
You can't just focus on realtors, and you can look at that over the past couple of years. The realtors that I have that were doing 12 deals a year are doing 6. The ones that are doing 20 were doing 10. So, what else are you going to do? Who else are you going to talk to? And when I started looking at the numbers back in 22, and I was like, something's changed here. I was like, I got to figure out something else. So, I started talking to bankers. I started talking to other mortgage professionals, finding out what they could do, what they can't do. Is there opportunity for me to do some of the deals that they can't do? Is there stuff that I can send them that I can't?
You mean like a retail banker or something?
Yeah.
Like? Okay.
Yeah. And, I have a lot of bankers that I've met that do commercial. And while we don't really do commercial, you meet them and then you find out who their banker is, and you send your commercial referrals to them, and then they send you the things that they can't do at their bank. So, that was a really good pivot for me, and that helped me really create that diversification that's needed. If you get the right financial advisor and they're truly looking out for their client's best interest, then they want to make sure that their clients are going to get satisfied or serviced. And at the same time, they don't want to necessarily send them to where they work, because if things go poorly, now you got a $5 million client that just got denied by your bank, and now all of a sudden they're like, are they going to leave me?
You.
So, those people, they want to have somebody to work with to make sure that their clients are getting serviced. And
Yeah.
Not about the 25 basis points that they're going to get paid that's going to go to their grid, and all of a sudden they get like, $30
Right.
to do a deal.
It happens. A friend of mine who's a financial advisor just emailed me saying, hey, he did his purchase with his own company, and he's like, he doesn't want to do the refinance with them. And, that's his own company.
Right.
It happens quite a bit. It used to happen a tremendous amount where financial advisors were so worried that they would leave, because the mortgage departments for so many of these in-house institutions were so bad for so long. And then what ends up happening is that loan officer that was handling the loans inside those institutions, they're not paid like Andy is. Andy's paid to be an expert in his field, right? This individual is paid a small amount of money, which is paramount to being a customer service person. And again, nothing wrong with that, but there's just a world of difference between the expert and the customer service. And so I think financial advisors realize very quickly that part of our structure and what Andy's talking about in terms of not having, we're not competition. We have one product, literally one product. Now it's a residential loan. There's lots of products within a residential loan, but we're not looking to do anything else. We're not trying to sell insurance. We're not selling.
We do one thing.
We're not trying to. We don't want their deposits. We don't want any of that stuff. So we're not a threat. We're not competition to them.
And the other thing that I always talk to them about is almost being a gatekeeper for them. Like, we're actually, not only do we not want to sell similar products, but we want to protect their clients from, if you got a financial advisor at Wells Fargo and they go over to Bank of America and they look at doing a mortgage there, what are the chances that Merrill Lynch is going to take a look at those
Of
statements?
course.
You know, so we're operating as a gatekeeper for them. So not only we
They're safe
help,
with us.
yeah, like we're protecting their assets.
Have you ever heard? I think what is it called? I think it's called page 4 of the 1004. Have you ever heard that saying? It's where essentially
This
like
must be a mortgage joke.
it's not a joke. It's a philosophy. So essentially, the way it works is that let's say in our conversation, Sarah. So it doesn't happen as much anymore now because so many people are, including us, we use an online application. But the general concept would be like, hey, I'll role play with Andy and just saying like, all right, tell me a little bit about your assets. What do we have? And he'd start listing off some different things. Great. What financial advisor do you have those assets with? Do you have a brokerage account? And if he says no, but I notice he's got some money, I'm writing down, potential referral opportunity. Same thing. All right. So are you employed or self-employed? Who does your taxes? Do you have a CPA? No. Writing down a potential opportunity. And then I noticed you told me you had a daughter. Like, what kind of life insurance do you have? Oh, well, we don't have life insurance. Boom, referral opportunity.
Is this all on your sheet that you hand over to Elizabeth?
Oh, yeah, of course.
So, but the general concept was it was a great way
To be a referral partner.
Yes. And I will say this about one of the things about the industry. Once you go to an online application, I don't care who it is, it includes us, it is less personal. So Andy and I have been working together long enough that we weren't using online applications when we started. And it's just the connection you made, because I remember back then, the goal was,
I think you were the last to transfer over out of the entire company. Yes.
Well,
No, I was the
makes
last
sense.
one.
Oh. The two of you in this room
Yeah.
are the last.
Neither of us are technology savants. I can share that with you. But but I think I remember my goal was all right, try to do the application for 20 to 30 minutes. If I could stay on the phone for 20 to 30 minutes, I knew I was building rapport. Mm-hmm. I knew I was going to have some jokes. I was going to,
They weren't going to shop you. They felt comfortable with you. They knew you knew what you were talking about.
Well, you would extract so much information and you'd be able to write all that stuff down and be ready for it. But,
yeah, I mean, you can't replace that initial fact-finding call. It has to happen.
So even now we do applications online, which I know that's part of our system. Do you still take... I think you do. You still take that initial call, because when I send you a buyer, you call them and then you'll say, I spoke to so-and-so. I sent them the link for the app.
Right.
And in that call, you're doing your kind of rapport building, but also kind of fact finding out and maybe what do you do on the call?
Pre-underwriting.
Yeah. I mean, there's things that you find out on that call that you can't find out with somebody filling out an application.
Right.
So, you need to do that. And like Emmanuel said, you want to build that rapport with the client. You want to find if there's some commonalities or, just things that can seal that bond. That first moment is about sealing the bond.
For me, it's about understanding first of all, what are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah.
It doesn't say that.
What are your goals?
Well, because that's not going to be on an application. On an application, it's going to say, I'm purchasing and I'm doing this. It doesn't go into it.
Right, of course.
And I think the other big piece too is just the setting expectations for me, and I know that you do a great job with this too, Andy, is that setting expectations is part of a key to success. And I feel like a lot of loan officers who don't set proper expectations, that's where they run into problems. They say one thing, and since they don't understand their process, they don't employ what we do, which is sweat, same way every time. And so for us, that's why for me, operationally, it's so important. The concept is that the same buyer that you introduced to Andy, let's say if you does a loan with Andy and then 3 months later buys a different property and was doing the loan with me, outside of our personalities, the majority of the process is going to be 90% the same. Yeah. It really is.
Yeah.
And it's what it's supposed to be. And you should have your personality and you should have yours. You can work on yours a little bit, but outside of that, I'm just kidding. We had to find a way to get a little dig in there. No, but
you should have seen our eyes when you said the personalities thing. We just looked at each other.
I think he saw it. That's why he went that route.
No, it's all right. You guys can make fun of me all you want. So I don't mind.
It's out of love.
Do you know Sarah's got a big birthday in a couple days?
Don't you have a big birthday?
He sure does.
Day before
He's
hers.
the appetizer to mine.
Ooh, funny. There's got to be some cultures where no, wait a minute. The main meal comes first. Maybe you're the dessert.
Perfect. Everybody loves dessert except for me.
Yeah. Well, anyways.
Yeah.
All right. So
birthday
Andy,
week. When
what's-
you're not, go ahead.
No, please. You're the boss.
Well, because you mentioned commonality, and I know that you have a full life, a very full life outside of actually spending your entire life writing mortgages. So, what are some of the commonalities that you find with people? What are the things that you do when you're not in the mortgage world?
We're in South Florida, so, I do a lot of fishing and diving. So hopefully somebody that I'm talking to is going to have similar type interests. If that happens, it's a slam dunk. We immediately pivot from mortgages to fishing or diving. So that's easy. And, I have a great daughter. She's 13.
It's a fun age.
Oh, my goodness.
Big Heat fan.
I'm just trying to stay in the
Alive.
middle of mom and daughter and kind of mediate this thing. But yeah, talking to people about their kids, we've got some sports teams down here, like Emmanuel mentioned. They're not all succeeding. Some are. Panthers, 2-time Stanley Cup champions.
That's awesome.
Panthers are unbelievable. All right. So is Mike McDaniels going to get fired or what?
He seems to be doing everything he can to get himself fired.
They're going to get blown out by the Bills tomorrow night.
Yeah. It's not pretty. It's been a dysfunctional organization, not like Choice Mortgage Group.
Yeah. But you've been so Andy's been a lifelong, and I think
fan.
it started with your dad, going to the games with your dad, right?
Yeah, we had season tickets for the Heat since opening day. And
Same with us.
What year is that?
Long time ago.
that was 89.
They were in a different stadium.
Yeah, the Miami Arena.
Yep.
And I've been going with him. And then when he passed in 2020, I took over the season tickets and now continuing the tradition with my daughter. And we probably go to maybe a dozen games a year together.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. And
That's super
she
cool.
loves basketball. She really enjoys going to the games. So that's
Can I
been-
tell you something from a daughter's perspective?
Sure, please.
My dad had season tickets growing up.
Mhm.
There was 3 of us, so she gets all of them, which is really cool. The 3 of us would pick dates on the calendar that we would get to go with dad. And we would circle the dates. And so I knew when my dates were. I would look ahead. I would count how many I had for the month to make sure they were fair, obviously. But it was the most favorite thing, the most special thing that I did as a kid was looking forward to those Heat games because the drive from Hollywood to the stadium was long.
Right.
And it was one of the few times he would let me listen to the radio station that I wanted to instead of NPR. And it was just like really special to go with him and have like that whole just experience to be with him, go do the Heat. It was like our thing.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was some of my favorite memories.
No,
So
she loves it, and the drive seems to be a bit longer to get down to Miami now.
Yeah.
So now we have twice as much time together
Yeah.
in the car.
I always fell asleep on the way home, but yeah.
You don't like the train?
When you're going there with your daughter, and it's $70 each way, is $140, and then you're on their schedule. I get a little anxiety when you start talking about the schedule, and I have to leave. And I know they got the buzzer beater thing, but
It's not
I
always.
I just like to have control of my situation and just head down to the game.
I don't know why you're looking at me like that, but yeah, I do like to have control, especially when
Will not get in a car with anybody else. Has to drive.
when I'm in that environment. But no, it's important. You want to be able to go when you want to go.
Yeah.
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 No, but it's a cool thing.
Yeah, and she loves it. I did my draft last night for my tickets because I have 2 people that split the season with me, although I get to control the playoff tickets as the owner. So I did my draft yesterday, and she was like, "What'd you get?" She's like, "I'm so pumped." So it's really cool, especially when they get to this age and they're starting to get their
Want to
friends
do anything
and,
else but stuff with their parents.
And
Yeah.
she really enjoys and is committed to going to the games with me. I mean,
Well, it's fun because it's at some point you're gonna lose that too. She's gonna want to hang out. She's like, Friday night, no, Dad, I'm gonna go hang out with so and so as opposed to want to go to the game.
I live in this fantasy world that I think that it's not going to change. And
I'll tell you, I kept mine until my parents moved. I mean, I was 17 when they moved, but
you were before phones. This is like a whole different era.
We had beepers.
Beepers, Sarah.
We had parties. I mean,
Did you ever have a beeper?
I did.
It must be a South Florida thing.
How did you talk? What do you mean?
We didn't have beepers.
What did you have?
We had house phones that you would call. And
what if you were out and about?
Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Birnbaum.
Well, we had those too. You had to call the house to get to the kid that beeped you. But we had codes, and you could like make up with somebody, break up with somebody.
Funny
you
words.
Could do all kinds of stuff. I mean, you could have whole communications on your beepers.
No, it's got to be a South Florida thing.
Anyhow, even into my beeper age of going to parties and having my own car, I kept the Heat games with my dad because it was something that I really loved doing.
I feel confident, and I hope that she follows your path and sticks with me.
Because it was like the one thing that we did where he wasn't like in dad mode. We weren't talking about school. We weren't talking about me being grounded for something that I had done. Like we were just hanging out and just kind of enjoying each other. And it was cool.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great. I treasure those moments, and it makes you look back at the moments with my dad and spending that time with him. Sometimes you don't realize how special it is until after it's gone.
Sure.
All right. Well, Andy, if we've got a loan officer who's a producer and wants to go to a Heat game, or an agent who's a producer and wants to go, no, in all seriousness, thank you so much for being on. If somebody does, an agent, a consumer, or a loan officer wants to get a hold of you and talk to you about working with you, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
They can call me, they can email me, they can hit me up on any social media platforms.
Unicornslayer.com.
Perfect. So we'll put your contact information with your permission in the show notes. And thank you for being on the show, my friend.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being the best partner.
Thank you. I appreciate everything that you do for me as well.
Okay, that's enough whining for one day. We are so happy that you could join us today on Stop Whining About Real Estate. So please, not only listen, but subscribe, follow us, download, share, and if you're feeling it, give us a 5-star review. Hey, and if you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email stopwhining@choicemortgage.com. Thanks so much.